Good morning, children. Wishing you all a very happy new year. These new year wishes are a blessing to you all from all your teachers. May this year bring out the best in you, and good luck and cheer always be by your side. And whatever you achieve academically here in your 10th standard, may it always keep your parents' head held high with pride that they took a good decision by keeping you all in our school. Wishing you all again a very happy and a prosperous new year. Okay? Now let's get back to our studies. You all are very well updated that the board timetable has already come. So accordingly, let's gear ourselves up and move in a very channelized way. Fine. Today we are doing the last unit of our book First Flight, unit number 11, named The Proposal. It is a play, children. A play in which basically the author wishes to discuss that how in our society it is so that all the wealthy families wish to seek ties with other wealthy families only. Okay, basically they wish to increase their property and estates. It gets multiplied, no? When two families who are equally rich, so the property increases. For example, a diamond merchant's son would get married to another diamond merchant's daughter. You all are very well aware of that why the famous film actresses wish to get married to any other producer or director only who is in film industry. There is a reason behind all these things. Okay. So here the chapter also focuses on one such theme wherein there are three characters. Okay. Let's discuss the three characters, which are the three central characters in the play. Have a look. The very first character is Lomov, who is a 35-year-old landowner. He wishes to get married. Okay, he doesn't keep well and he plans that he should get married soon. Next one is Chubukov, who is another landowner. He is Lomov's neighbor. Third central character is Natalia, who is Chubukov's daughter. She is 25 years old. Here how it begins is that Lomov comes with a proposal to Chubukov because he wishes to get married to his daughter Natalia. Okay, so Lomov, 35-year-old, he comes up with a proposal for Natalia. Okay, now when they come, when Lomov comes to their house, Chubukov's house, he comes with a proposal, but before he could actually come up with his intention, they start with their petty quarrels and arguments. And the main topic loses its focus. They start quarreling, and amongst that whole quarrelsome scene, how the proposal is brought forward, the play is all about it. Okay, so let's start with our play. Open your books at page number 143. Page number 143, we'll read the introduction which is given at the last of page 143. Have a look here. The proposal, originally titled A Marriage Proposal, is a one-act play, a farce. Farce refers to a drama which is basically comical, okay, by the Russian short story writer and dramatist Anton Chekhov. It was written in 1888-89. The play, underline it please. The play is about the tendency of wealthy families to seek ties with other wealthy families in order to increase their estates by encouraging marriages that make good economic sense. Just as I told you just now, why do the actresses get married to producers or the directors? Because they wish to remain in limelight. They have started enjoying that glamour, that affluence which is there in the film industry. So, for that sake, here, marriages that make good economic sense. Ivan Lomov, a long-time wealthy neighbor of Stepan Chubukov, also wealthy, comes to seek the hand of Chubukov's 25-year-old daughter Natalia. All three are quarrelsome people and they quarrel over petty issues. Petty means very smallest of the issues they start discussing and quarreling. The proposal is in danger of being forgotten amidst all this quarreling. When they start quarreling, they completely forget and overlook what was the actual reason of Lomov's visit. But economic good sense ensures that the proposal is made finally, although the quarreling perhaps continues. Okay? Now, let's begin with our play. The characters I've already explained you. And now, here is the backdrop of the play. A drawing room in Chubukov's house. Lomov enters wearing a dress jacket and white gloves. Chubukov rises to meet him. The speaker's name, children, you simultaneously have a look at it. I shall read whatever the statement is there. My dear fellow, whom do I see? Ivan Vassilovich. I'm glad. Now this is a surprise, my darling. How are you? Because Chubukov feels surprised as Lomov visited their house. Lomov replies, thank you. And how may you be getting on? Means how is life going on? Is everything fine with you? Chubukov replies, we just get along somehow. Just get along means somehow managing with our life. My angel, hear how lovingly he is talking to him. Thanks to your prayers and so on. Sit down, please do. Now, you know, you should not forget all about your neighbors, my darling. My dear fellow, why are you so formal in your get-up? Because he is surprised to see Lomov was dressed very formally. So he asks him, evening dress you're wearing and gloves and so on. Can you be going on anywhere, my treasure? Means, are you going to a party or somewhere like that? My treasure is his another word which he uses when we are talking to someone very lovingly, you know, my angel, my treasure, my love. That way he is talking. Chubukov is talking to Lomov. So you are dressed so formally, where are you going? No, I've come only to see you, honored Stepan Stepanovich. Means I've just come to have a visit to you. Then why are you in evening dress, my precious? Another loving word. As if you are paying a New Year Eve's visit, as if it was an occasion of New Year or Christmas, and you have come to meet us in a very formal way. Well, you see, it's like this. I've come to you, honored Stepan Stepanovich, to trouble you with a request. Not once or twice have I already had the privilege of applying to you for help, and you've always, so to speak, I must ask your pardon. I'm getting excited. So he is not able to come straight away to the point. He is beating round the bush. He is not able to say what exactly he had come for. I shall drink some water, honored Stepan Stepanovich. He drinks. By the time he's saying so and drinking water, Chubukov is having some thoughts in his mind. What does he say? He has come to borrow money. I shan't give him any. Okay, so inside he is being very shrewd and clever, who's able to analyze the purpose of his visit. But outwardly, how dramatic he is being, that he is using all those loving words. अंदर कुछ चल रहा है and बाहर से he is speaking in such a loving way. Once again he says, what is it, my beauty? Another word, another loving word. So he's speaking so lovingly and अंदर ही अंदर तो what he is thinking, पैसे मांगने आया है, मैं नहीं देने वाला हूँ इसको पैसे. Some thought like that he had in his mind. Lomov, you see, honored Stepanich, I beg pardon, Stepan Honorich, he's fumbling with words. He's at a loss of words. He's unable to speak because he's excited. I'm awfully excited, as you will please notice. In short, you alone can help me, though I don't deserve it, of course, and I haven't any right to count on your assistance. I'm completely relying that for my purpose, you are the only one who could help me out. He wishes to seek hand of his daughter, but Chibuko wonders that he perhaps has come to borrow money from me. Chibuko, oh, don't go round and round it, darling. Spit it out. Spit it out means come out, speak up. Well, one moment, this very moment. The fact is, I've come to ask the hand of your daughter Natalia Stepanova in marriage. Now he says it. Chubukov is very happy because he knew very well that Lomov is also a landowner and he holds a lot of estates and property with him. By Jove is a very informal expression for feeling surprised. Ivan Vasilevich, say it again. I didn't hear it at all. So he was so happy that he wishes to hear the statement again and again that Lomov has come to seek his daughter's hand. Lomov, I have the honor to ask. Chubuko, my dear fellow, I'm so glad and so on. Yes, indeed, and all that sort of thing. And with this, he embraces and kisses Lomov. I've been hoping for it for a long time. This was my long-term desire. It's been my continual desire. And with this, he sheds a tear of happiness. And I've always loved you, my angel, as if you were my own son. May God give you both his help and his love, and so on. And so much of hope. What am I behaving in this idiotic way for? I'm off my balance with joy, absolutely off my balance. Oh, with all my soul, I'll go and I'll call Natasha and all that. All that means I'll tell her that why have you come and what are your desires for. Lomov was greatly moved by this loving gesture. Honored Stepan Stepanovich, do you think I may count on her consent? Do you think that she'll agree, like whatever I wish? Would your daughter agree for that? So father says, why of course my darling, and as if she won't consent. She won't consent means there's no question of her denial. I don't think that she would disagree to this proposal. She's in love. She's in love with you. She's like a lovesick cat. Lovesick cat means a person who's madly in love with something. And so on. Shan't be long. Shan't be long means just wait for a minute. I'll go and I'll call for her. And with this, he goes. Lomo, it's cold. I'm trembling all over. Just as if I had got an examination before me. Which examination is he talking about? His examination wherein the girl would come and in front of the girl he is able to make a proposal to her. The great thing is, I must have my mind made up. If I give myself time to think, to hesitate, to talk a lot, to give for an ideal or for real love, then I'll never get married. If suppose I'm not able to keep myself firm in front of that girl, then perhaps I won't be able to get married. Once again, it's cold. Natalia Stepanova, here he is talking to the readers. She is an excellent housekeeper. She is not bad looking. She is well educated. What more do I want? But I am getting a noise in my ears from excitement. And with this, he drinks water. And it's impossible for me not to marry because it's high time he was 35 years old. And it was an age that he should get married soon. In the first place, I'm already 35, a critical age, so to speak. In the second place, I ought to lead a quiet and a regular life now. Means a stability in life is required. And that comes only once you get married. I suffer from palpitations. Palpitations refers to a situation wherein the heartbeat gets very fast. The heartbeat is so fast because of that excitement and nervousness. So here he's talking about his physical problem which he is undergoing, and because of that he feels that it's high time for him to get married. I'm excitable and always getting awfully upset. Awfully means I get badly upset at times. At this very moment, my lips are trembling and there's a twitch in my right eyebrow. Twitch refers to sudden, uncontrolled movement. Okay, you are unable to control such movements. They are called twitch. So he says, he admits that he starts twitching at times. But the very worst of all is the way I sleep. I no sooner get into bed and begin to go off when suddenly something in my left side gives me a pull. And I can feel in my shoulder and head. I jump up like a lunatic, a mad person, walk about a bit and lie down again. But as soon as I begin to get off to sleep, there's another pull. And this may happen 20 times. So with the readers, he's sharing that what physical problem he's undergoing and what is the reason because of which he wishes that it's high time for him to get married as early as possible. By the time Natalia enters, well, there, it's you. And Papa said, go, there's a merchant who has come for his goods. Because father hesitates in straight away telling his daughter that someone had come to seek her hand for a wedding. So he probably cooks up a reason for her. How do you do, Ivan Vasilovich? How do you do, honored Natalia? You must excuse my apron and neglige. Neglige here refers to the gown which she was wearing. She was at her home. She was busy with her household chores, and the same way she had entered in. So she is apologizing for her attire. We are shelling peas for drying. Shelling means removing from the pods. Okay, the pea, you know, no? The mutter, how it is in its shell and removing from its shell and taking all the pods out of it is called shelling. So she says, we are shelling peas for drying. Why haven't you been here for such a long time? Sit down, and with this, both of them sit together. Won't you have some lunch? No, thank you. I've had some already. Here, the girl probably doesn't know the actual reason of that man's visit. Then Natalia says, then you may smoke. Smoke means you can continue with your smoking part. Here are the matches for you. The weather is splendid now, but yesterday it was so wet that the workmen didn't do anything at all day. How much hay have you stacked? Stack means arranged. Hay is the dry grass. So she's saying that how much have you stacked for the season? Just think, I felt greedy and I had a whole field cut. And now I'm not at all pleased about it because I'm afraid my hay may rot. I ought to have waited a bit. But what is this? So by the time she's talking about the other topics, she notices that he was in his evening dress. Why you are in evening dress? Well, I never means I never dress up myself in such a way any point of time or any other day, somewhat like that. Are you going to a ball or what? Ball refers to a formal or a social gathering, like wherein people dance together. Though I must say you look better, means you are looking handsome in that. Tell me, why are you got up like that? Got up means why are you dressed like that? Lomo, you see, honored Natalia, the fact is, I've made up my mind to ask you to hear me out. Of course, you'll be surprised and perhaps even angry, but, and again, when he has to say something to her, he deviates from the main topic and he says, it's awfully cold today. Means he is once again unable to come to the point and he is going away from the main topic of discussion. What's the matter? Well, again, he's preparing himself. I shall try to be brief. You must know, honored Natalia Stepanova, that I have long, since my childhood, in fact, had the privilege of knowing your family. My late aunt and her husband, from whom, as you know, I inherited my land, always had the greatest respect for your father and your late mother. The Lomovs and the Chibukovs have always had the most friendly, and I might almost say the most affectionate regard for each other. So he's talking about the families of both the Lomovs and the Chibukovs, how they have always held a cordial relation. And as you know, my land is a near neighbor of yours. You will remember that my oxen meadows touch your birch woods. Okay, oxen meadows are the big grazing grounds, the grazing fields. So here he starts discussing about the estates which both the families hold. Okay, so years and years having such a cordial relationship that are estates also are close to each other. And finally, last of all, he says, you remember that my oxen meadows touch your birch woods. Birch woods again a part of the estate which they name as the birch woods, wherein many birch trees perhaps exist. With this statement, children, begins the quarrel. Okay. He was not able to tell the girl what had he come for. He just beats round the bush and he says, your family, my family, years and years, such a warm, healthy neighborhood friendship they have shared, and see your estates, our estates. And through this, he comes up to a point wherein the argument begins. Natalia. Excuse my interrupting you. You say my oxen meadows, but are they really yours? A part of land, oxen meadows. Both start claiming that part of land to be theirs. Lomov says it's mine. Natalia says it's ours. Lomov, yes, mine. What are you talking about? Oxen meadows are ours, not yours. No, mine, honored Natalia. Well, I never knew that before. How do you make that out? How did you conclude that they were yours? How? I'm speaking of those oxen meadows which are wedged in between your birch woods and burnt marsh. Okay? Wedge means squeezed. So the place which is between your birch woods and burnt marsh. Burnt marsh here is again the name which is given to a wet muddy place. Yes, yes, they are ours. So she says, when those birch woods are ours, when the burnt marsh are ours, so the place which is between both those places would obviously be ours. Natalia says, yes, yes, they are ours. No, you are mistaken, honored Natalia. Those oxen meadows are mine. Just think, Ivan Vasilyevich, how long have they been yours? Kitne saal se you claim that they are yours? How long? As long as I can remember. Really, you won't get me to believe that. You believe so, but how would you make me believe about it? But you can see from the documents, perhaps. Lomov had some papers with him. Honored Natalia, Oxon Meadows, it's true, were once the subject of dispute. Here onwards, children, is an important 2-mark question. Okay, a very short question, that what was the reason because of which this place became a bone of contention, a topic of dispute between Natalia and Lomov. Okay, so he says it's true, they were once the subject of dispute, but now everybody knows that they are mine. There's nothing to argue about it. You see, here onward begins the actual story, that why both of them claim to be theirs. You see, my aunt's grandmother gave the free use of these meadows in perpetuity. Perpetuity means continuing to work on it for a long period. So my aunt's grandmother gave this piece of land to your peasants for a long period of time. Once again, see the line, in perpetuity to the peasants of your father's grandfather, in return for which those peasants were to make bricks for her. Okay, so you keep this piece of land, you use this piece of land, and in return, whatever work you do there of manufacturing the bricks or making the bricks, some of the bricks you will give it to me. Okay. So they were to make bricks for her. The peasants belonging to your father's grandfather had the free use of the meadows for literally 40 years. And they had got into the habit of regarding them as their own. After working over them for so long, they started considering that that piece of land was theirs forever. When it happened that, and now here he is continuing with his narration to Natalia. But she interrupts here. No, it is not at all like that. Both grandfather, great grandmother reckoned means believed. They believed that their land extended to Burnt Marsh. Okay, between both the places was Oxon Meadows, but according to her, she has been told that their land extends to Burnt Marsh, which means that Oxon Meadows, which fall between it, obviously they remain ours. I don't see what there is to argue about. It's simply silly that you are arguing about a place which is not at all yours. And further, Lomov says, I'll show you the documents, Natalia. How could you disagree that the property is not mine? Natalia, no, you are simply joking or making fun of me. What a surprise. We have had the land for nearly 300 years. And then we are suddenly told that it is not ours. Ivan Vassilevich, I can hardly believe my own ears. These meadows aren't worth much to me. Okay, they don't hold a very high price or a great value for me. They only come to 5 dessiatins. Dessiatins means a unit of measuring the land. And they are worth perhaps 300 rupees. Means it's not so much of valuable for me. But I can't stand unfairness. Something which is wrong is wrong. That land may not be very expensive one for me. They may not hold a great value for me. But it's all about a thing being right or wrong. Say what you will, but I can't stand unfairness. No more. Hear me out. I implore you. Implore means a very sincere request made to do something. Okay? A very earnest request. The peasants of your father's grandfather, as I've already had the honor of explaining to you, used to bake bricks for my aunt's grandmother. Now my aunt's grandmother wishing to make them a pleasant. So whatever the narration which he is explaining once again, but the girl is least interested in listening to it. Natalia, I can't make head or tail of all this about head or tail means मुझे कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया. Whatever you are trying to explain, I haven't understood a bit of that story about all those aunts and grandfathers and grandmothers. The meadows are ours and that's it. So I don't wish to listen to any of your stories. He says mine, ours. So they are discussing, fighting. You can go on proving it for 2 days on end. You can go and put on 15 dress jackets, but I tell you, they are ours, ours, ours. I don't want anything of yours and I don't want to give anything of mine. So there means let's finish with the topic because henceforth it is proved that they are Chimbukov's property. Natalia Stepanova, I don't want those medals, but I'm acting on principle. Principle means I know by rule what exactly is the situation. If you like, I'll make you a present of them. If you really are very fond of those meadows, I will gift it to you. But if we act on principles, if we act on documents, if we believe in whatever the papers say, they are mine and I'll gift it to you. Natalia, I can make you a present of them myself. How would you give me something which belongs to me? If you feel, I'll gift it to you because they are mine. Your behavior, Ivan Vassilevich, is strange to say the least. Up to this, we have always thought of you as a very good neighbor, a friend. Last year, we even gave you our threshing machine. Threshing machine is a machine which separates the grain from the chaff. Okay? So she says, I already gave you last year our threshing machine. Although on that account, we had to put off our own threshing till November. Okay, we had to postpone our threshing because we had given our machine to you. But you behaved to us as if we were gypsies, the way you had behaved with us, and now the way you are talking to us, as if we have nothing to our account, as if we are gypsies, people moving from one place to another, having no accountability. Giving me my own land indeed. No, really, that's not at all neighborly. In my opinion, it's even impudent if you want to know. Impudent means lacking wisdom, not giving any sense of respect to other person. Lomo. Then you make out that I am a land grabber. So he feels very bad. That you call me a land grabber means I have occupied your land. I have taken away the land from you. Okay? Land grabber means a person who has wrongly taken over someone's land. Madam, never in my life have I grabbed anybody else's land. And I shall not allow anybody to accuse me of having done so. Accuse means you are blaming me that I have grabbed your piece of land. He quickly steps to the carafe and drinks some water. Carafe here is a place, not exactly a place, it is a jug-like, which is wide-mouthed, which is used to serve water. And drinks water and again says, the Oxen meadows are mine. It's not true, they are ours, mine. And henceforth, they are once again coordinated. Okay, so this much for this lecture. The next part will continue in our next lecture. Okay, children, you study this much and then we'll continue further.